Okay, folks, here we are again. Carrying on with theme E. Okay, we're going to look at aims of punishment. Why do we punish people as a society and religious views on that, really, okay? So let's get straight into this. 3 aims of punishment. Give me 3 aims of punishment. Now, there could be loads, but we focused on a particular 3 aims of punishment. I'll give you some clues. Put off, pay back, and change. Put off, pay back, and change. I was trying to think of another P, but put off, pay back, and change. Okay, moving on in just a sec. Christian attitudes towards deterrence. What do Christians think? If you can get a religious teaching, then that'd be great. But what do Christian believe about deterrence? How should you be punished in regards to deterrence? Okay. Moving on. Islamic attitudes towards deterrence. What do they think about deterrence? How should you deter people? So on and so forth. Think if Christianity is a little bit kind of meek and mild, if you like, Islam, for in many cases, is that little bit more harsh, if you like. Okay. Number 3 in just a sec. Sincerely hope you're well. Keep plugging away. What do Jews believe about retribution? What do Jews believe about retribution? So if you didn't get number 1, I've given you 2 of the aims of punishment already. Okay. What do Jews believe about retribution? Try and get a religious teaching. Think about body parts. So on and so forth. Okay. Why would Christians disagree with retribution? Why would Christians disagree with retribution? What is their issue and their tissue? For those of you who know that I teach, where there's an issue, there's a tissue. Okay. Why do Christians disagree with retribution? Moving on in just a moment. So we're just focusing on aims of punishment today. Okay. Remember, this is just a brief overview. You need to go and look back at things that you have got wrong or you're not too sure on. Muslims agree with reformation, but I want you to think about why and how they would reform somebody. Think about pain, so on and so forth. How do Muslims think someone should be reformed? Say it that way. How do Muslims believe someone should be reformed? Okay. Moving on in just a moment. Remember, you can pause this at any moment. Now, Jews also agree with reformation, and how do they think someone should be reformed? How do Jews think someone should be reformed? It's not to do with pain, folks. Okay, it's not to do with pain. How do Jews think someone should be reformed? Okay. And finally, what are Christians' thoughts on reformation? How should someone be reformed? Can you give me some practical examples, biblical examples? How do they think someone should be reformed? Okay, aims of punishment. Aims of punishment. Let's go through these answers together. So there are 3 main aims of punishment, really, that we've studied: deterrence, retribution, reformation. You could have some others: protection, vindication. Would be some others, but the ones that we've studied intently are deterrence, retribution, and reformation. Okay. Now, a Christian view on deterrence, number 2, is that people should be deterred. It can be a fruitful way of punishing somebody, but they don't believe in harsh punishments. So, for instance, let's think about I've driven too fast. I've gone 40 and a 30. A fine may well put me off the next time of doing it. They don't think, or let's think of another situation. I've murdered somebody and therefore I deserve the death penalty. That wouldn't be a worthwhile or a way that Christians would deter somebody. Okay. An Islamic view on deterrence. Now, Muslims see deterrence from a different perspective. They believe that in order to deter somebody and other people, it needs to be quite harsh. Okay, so it might involve, for instance, Muslim way of thinking. Sharia law states that if you're caught stealing, and this doesn't apply to all countries, but some strong Islamic countries would say that your hand needs to be cut off from the wrist to prevent you from doing it again, to deter you from doing it again, and also it would stop other people from doing it. It would deter not just that individual, but other people from doing it because they don't want to lose their hand. Moving on to this. Jews. Now, this is an interesting one. Some Jews would agree with this. Retribution. Now, the death penalty in the Old Testament was something that was used from time to time because of teaching such as life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. This idea, well, you've caused something to somebody, so you deserve the same thing back. Okay, and in relation to the death penalty, some Jews may believe that that is what is required, okay, to be paid back for your wrongdoings. However, Christians look at things from a different perspective. Christians disagree with paying people back. They believe that God's the judge, that God will judge the living and the dead one day, and justice, this payback will come from God. Jesus condemned retribution in some of his teachings, and also Jesus is the one that can change people's minds. Okay, and so Christians believe that by showing people love and turning the other cheek, okay, there's no need to pay back people for their wrongdoings. And in fact, some Christians might say it goes as far as, well, if you are paying someone back for a murder they've committed, that person's just the person that's killing them, or the state that's killing them, the government's just making you as bad as the criminal. Okay. Moving on to Muslims' thoughts on reformation. It's similar to deterrence, but they believe that pain reforms. So they believe in harsh punishments in the community, having witnesses, because they believe that pain reforms the criminal. And so as a result, through that pain, they'll change their mindset, so on and so forth. Okay. Jews also agree with reformation through education. They think that people need to make up for what they have done wrong by giving back to society in some way. You can think of practical things. If they've, graffitied or littered or stolen, whatever, giving back to the community in one way or another. But people need to be reformed through education. And Christians agree with reformation again through education, as Jesus taught about loving your enemies, so on and so forth. And through that love, hopefully their mindset would change by receiving love from Christians and Jesus, so on and so forth. Okay. Right. And we're there. Aims of punishment. Why do we punish people? Remember thinking about those questions that will come up. It's applying religion to those situations, because it's quite easy in Theme just to not talk about religion at all. You must apply religion, otherwise, particularly in question 5s, otherwise if you don't apply religion, the max marks you can get is 6. So you must apply religion to your answers. Keep going. Cheers now.